Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to do a follow-up on the video we did yesterday about the Ghostbusters animated series coming to Netflix. A whole bunch of Ghostbusters projects have been announced, and they have completely decanonized Ghostbusters 2016.
Prepare yourself for screaming.
Prepare yourself for screaming.
I think I hear Twitter screaming in the distance.
They have completely obliterated that timeline, and people thought that they were going to get some Ghostbusters 2016 mixed in with their, I don't even know what they're calling it, the Prime or the Alpha timeline, the actual Ghostbusters timeline. That is not going to happen. Jason Reitman is completely going all in on old school Ghostbusters.
Good.
With Ghost Corps, and there's a bunch of stuff coming out, and yeah, in fact, this is the Hollywood Reporter, and they basically said Ghostbusters 2016 is no longer canon.
Well, you know what? It's okay. If you like that one, which you're allowed to, you can still watch it on DVD.
Yep. So this is the Hollywood Reporter. This is news on Ghostbusters. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Almost 270,000 subs.
Woo!
Thank you for the support. We have been following the situation with Ghostbusters 2016 and Ghostbusters.
The
screaming.
And the meltdowns.
And Afterlife, because the media was furious.
They were. It was hilarious. Talk about review bombing. That's what they did.
Oh, yeah. The media.
That was legitimate review bombing.
They were so angry that they basically, Sony decided to just completely ignore Ghostbusters 2016. It did not make money. It lost money. It was polarizing. And it was just a very dark period for fandom, I think.
It was funny, though, when we saw the Afterlife reviews, if you looked at the different outlets, or sometimes the same person, they loved 2016. And then, Afterlife was terrible, and gave it, bad reviews. And it's like, when you talk about review bombing, they don't mention that.
Yeah.
But that's review bombing.
Well, anyway, Sony has decided that Jason Reitman and was it Gil Kenan are the guys to take the franchise forward, and there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out. So, in honor of Ghostbusters Day, it was Ghostbusters Day, the anniversary of the original film's 1984 release.
Yeah, it was summer, I remember, yeah.
The duo on Wednesday spilled to the Hollywood Reporter on the plethora of content coming fans' way via 2 films, an animated TV series, video games.
There's games?
Yep, and a Dark Horse comic book series.
See, I didn't get to read this yet, so yay!
Yeah, so this is all the stuff coming out. Speaking with the Hollywood Reporter, prior to the official Ghostbusters Day event, Wednesday on the Sony Pictures lot, the duo behind last year's beloved third canon chapter of the franchise. You see what they did there?
Yeah, so it's the third chapter, which steps over 2016.
Yep. The third canon chapter of the franchise.
Implying that 2016 is not canon.
It's no longer canon. Yep. Created by Dan Aykroyd.
That brings joy to my heart.
Yeah, and the late Harold Ramis. The next film has an official codename, Firehouse. So I think they're going back to New York.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of Ghostbusters Afterlife, the Ecto-1 is driving into Manhattan, returning to its home, and before anyone had ever heard the title Afterlife, we called it Rust City, which would not have made sense to anyone until they saw the movie.
Well, you know what's interesting to me? I think they kind of did it the way they did it because they were trying to do it, to prove the concept without spending too much money.
Yeah, I agree.
They spent too much money on 2016.
Yeah, 2016 was an expensive movie, and it flopped. And they spent way too much, because even the original Ghostbusters wasn't that expensive. 2 was more expensive.
It's a lot cheaper to film where they filmed than it is to film in New York. So, I mean...
Middle of nowhere versus...
right. Yeah. So it makes sense they're going back to New York now that it's been a proven, winner.
Yeah. We're writing it as quickly as we can. We had the story before we finished Afterlife.
Make sure you take your time and do a good job.
Yeah, please don't
push it out too fast. Make sure that you do it right.
Yeah, let's not have another Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, we don't want to premature anything. Just take your time.
You don't want to be premature.
No. Yeah,
no.
Okay.
Anyway, we've been crafting this with as much care as it took to build Afterlife into a worthy sequel.
Good.
Now, here's the thing. If it's going to take place at the firehouse, and they had Winston with Ecto-1 in the firehouse, Ray said that the firehouse had been turned into a Starbucks, but there was no Starbucks.
I don't know.
Maybe they shut Starbucks down because of COVID.
Maybe they turned it back to the firehouse, or maybe they're getting a different firehouse. But this is interesting right here. This is what I'm talking about. It was a worthy sequel indeed, based on the 197 million worldwide gross, in addition to the critical praise, 63% Rotten Tomatoes, which is critical score, and fan score of 94%. Audience score.
it was a good movie. And I honestly didn't have a lot of expectation for it. I was like cautiously optimistic, but I'm like, damn it, that was a good movie. That felt like the third Ghostbusters movie. So they talked about how, unfortunately, Ivan Reitman died, but he said that they talked to him about where they were going to go with it before he died. We talked about what we wanted to see happen to the Spenglers, and even outside of the Spengler family, explains Reitman, and he was so excited. He was just thrilled about where we wanted to go, and sitting there telling him what we wanted to do with the story was a daunting responsibility, but his enthusiasm for it is what fuels us today. So where they wanted to go with it is approved by Ivan Reitman, which is good.
We got confirmation that Ernie Hudson is returning, which is good. I love Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson's getting a lot of work. He's going to be in the
new Quantum Leap too.
Which that's one of the few things that actually gives me hope about.
I know. I'm like, please be good. I want to see the new Quantum Leap, and I'm hoping it's really good. I mean, I don't even care if they put. I mean, the diversity thing doesn't bother me as long as they're not making it they're not just being ridiculous about it. I just hope it's good because I like Quantum Leap.
Hudson's supposedly playing the character that was in, I forget his name off the top of my head. It's been ages since I've sat through all of Quantum Leap, but he's playing the one character from Vietnam. So he's actually playing a pre-existing character, just an older version of him.
As far as I understand, yes.
Yeah, and he's gonna be like the new Owl. So that's kind of cool. So after the next live action film, they're also going to do an animated film from Sony Pictures Animation,
which we talked about. We talked about that on another video.
No,
that was the film, not the series.
Yeah, they're doing the series and the film.
Oh, well, that's really cool.
Yeah, so Sony Pictures Animation, the people behind Hotel Transylvania, whatever.
Yeah, and Beavis and Butthead do the universe.
Okay.
And then the
moving
Ghost
on,
thing.
and then the Netflix Ghost Core one. The animated film will take us to places we've never seen before. We love these characters, and we're so excited to push the boundaries of what we think of as a Ghostbusters story. We will keep the flame burning bright with all these concepts, which will continue to grow what a Ghostbusters story can be.
Be fair, though. The cartoons did that. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I mean, if you're going to be fair, especially we talk about like Extreme Ghostbusters and stuff. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. So the for those of you who don't follow Ghostbusters canon, they're actually the cartoon series take place in a different timeline where the Ghostbusters movies actually exist in the cartoon continuity. And the reason they're the real Ghostbusters, other than trademark reasons, because they had a fight with Filmation, was because that version of the character, they're supposed to be the actual Ghostbusters, and then they base the Hollywood movie on them. And they're like, who the hell is Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd?
Yeah, so, I mean, they've kind of done this before, but I think it's also interesting is when we were kids when the movies came out. Yeah. So Ghostbusters cartoons go hand in hand. You know what I mean? It was like Ghostbusters cartoons and Ghostbusters movies. They were like the thing. So I think they're kind of sticking to that.
Yeah, I think it could be argued, my memory is a little hazy because I was pretty young when all this went down, but I think the cartoon series really cemented Ghostbusters as a pop culture icon, even more so than the movie, because it kept the franchise alive between movies, and then it actually didn't die off until after the second movie came out. It was okay. It was all right. So they're going to do some games. They're going to do a VR game, virtual reality game. Dark Horse is doing a new comic working with Reitman and Keenan on Ghostbusters comic series that will bridge the gap between Ghostbusters Afterlife and the sequel.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not going to be a one-off film, but the opening of a door. And today that promise comes true. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, you're about to have access to, all different decades of Ghostbusters history, as well as the future. Characters you haven't met yet and places you haven't gone yet. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, you've got a lot coming your way, except for 2016. Lots of Ghostbusters coming, except for 2016.
And interesting, they have the kids.
Yeah.
From the show doing a tour of New York City. Ghostbusters guide to New York City, and the next film is going to be in New York City. Yes.
So we know where this is going, for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. So this is one of the few times where, and look, we don't know if any of this stuff is going to be any good. It might be that they got lucky with this one movie.
That's true.
But this shows that franchises can be course corrected. It's kind of like Cobra Kai too, because Cobra Kai kind of ignored some of the Karate Kid shit that wasn't good.
What was great about Cobra Kai was they found a way to take the original characters and combine them with new characters and make it work. Because what we're seeing, like especially we saw it with Disney's stupid sequel trilogy, was that they just kind of off the main characters in shitty ways and then went on with the new characters. We have new characters in this. I mean, well, the characters from the afterlife, but you know what I'm saying? They're moving forward with a new cast that still has ties to the original cast with Ernie Hudson and Annie Potts and stuff like that. So that it might work really, really well because they're not throwing everything out. They're not letting the past die. Kill it if you have to. They'll probably call up some of the other people and be like, "Hey, can you help me out here, Dan Aykroyd's character? Bray. You know what I mean?
Can we get Rick Moranis back? That'd be kind
of.
cool.
I would love to see Rick Moranis back.
I'm actually excited about this because again, you've got somebody who literally grew up on the set of Ghostbusters.
They care about it.
They care about it, and that's the difference between Ghostbusters and where they want to go with it, I think. And looking at Disney with Star Wars, where it's a complete cash grab.
It's a product.
And in this case, Ivan Reitman was very excited about where they were going to go. And you look at Star Wars, and I just put a tweet out today, and people got so pissed about it.
I didn't see it. Sorry.
It's true. I basically said, George Lucas doesn't consider Disney Star Wars as canon. Why should we? Because he was not happy with the direction they took Star Wars in. This has been documented. He had a feud with Bob Iger over them.
But Iger admits that he did something shitty.
Yeah. They stabbed him in the back. Yeah, they took 7, 8, and 9. George Lucas had a draft, and that was part of the deal. They
let him believe that they were going to use his treatments, and instead gave him the treatment.
Yeah.
And then said, well, he signed it, so it's, guess you should have read the contract better.
Yeah, and then a few years later, he was with his wife at some event.
Yeah, we have a video on that.
Yeah, they actually I think they pulled the video down. I think they didn't want to put the kids in the crosshair, but he was at a virtual event, and they were asking him about the current Disney Star Wars, and he's basically like, well, I don't know what they're doing, but my Star Wars is 6 movies. It's like that's it. And he got a lot of shit for that. And his wife was in the background like, George, don't say it. Don't say it, George.
Yeah, she was.
Oh my
like,
God, George,
talk,
stop. George,
stop.
Yeah, so anyway, we're going to wrap this one up.
Yes.
Bustin' feels so good.
It does.
So good. See ya.
Bye.